Can I help you?" The voice was deep, warm, and young. Clara Hayes looked up, startled. She saw a boy, tall, handsome, probably no more than 19, standing beside her with a gentle smile. Her grocery bag had just ripped open near the sidewalk outside the market, spilling oranges and vegetables across the street. She was kneeling on the ground, frustrated, when that voice came from above her, calm, confident, kind. For a second, she didn't respond. Her eyes traveled over his face, sharp jawline, messy brown hair that glowed softly in the afternoon light, eyes bright with sincerity. "Yes." "Thank you," she finally said, a bit shyly. The boy smiled wider and knelt beside her. "Don't worry, ma'am. I've got this." He began picking up the oranges rolling away toward the curb, gathering them one by one and placing them carefully back in the torn bag. His movements were quick but gentle. Clara tried to help, but her hands trembled slightly. It wasn't from the weight of the groceries. It was something else. Maybe it was his unexpected presence. Or the way the air suddenly felt heavier around them. "You don't have to," she began. He interrupted, smiling again. "It's fine. I can't just walk away." When he looked up, their eyes met. And in that brief moment, time seemed to slow. He noticed her, really noticed her. The soft glow on her skin, the faint blush on her cheeks, the tired but kind eyes that carried both strength and sadness. She was older, yes, but she was breathtaking. She wasn't like the girls he knew. She had grace. She had presence, and in that instant, Ethan Miller, a 19-year-old college student who had no plans other than surviving another week of classes, felt something shift inside him. "Thank you," she said softly, breaking his trance. Her voice was low, smooth, a little hesitant. He blinked, realizing he'd been staring. "Oh, yeah, no problem. Happens all the time." He picked up the last apple and stood, brushing the dirt off his hands. Clara took the bag from him, smiling faintly. "You're very kind." "Thank you again." Ethan shrugged. "Guess it's just good timing." She nodded politely and turned to walk away. Her long brown hair fell softly over her shoulder as she walked toward the corner of the street. Ethan stood there, holding one of the fallen oranges in his hand, watching her go. The evening light made her silhouette glow. Calm, confident, and impossibly beautiful. He whispered under his breath, "Wow. She's—" He didn't even finish the sentence. That night he couldn't get her out of his mind. Her face, her voice. The way she said "thank you" like she hadn't said those words in a long time. He didn't even know her name, but he wanted to. The next afternoon, Ethan found himself walking down the same street again, the same path where he'd helped her. His heart pounded when he saw her again, crossing the road with 2 grocery bags, heading toward a small white house with a garden full of roses. So that's where she lives, he thought, hiding behind the corner. He told himself it wasn't weird. He just wanted to make sure she got home safely, but deep down he knew it was more than that. He just wanted to see her again. Days passed. He came by the same road again and again, pretending to jog or scroll his phone, or kick a football around. Anything to catch a glimpse of her. But she didn't appear for days. Then one afternoon, as he stood near her gate, he saw her curtains move. A shadow. Her shadow. His heart raced. He needed a reason to talk to her again, and suddenly, an idea hit him. He picked up his football, took a deep breath, and threw it gently over the fence, straight into her yard. Then he walked to the door and rang the bell. Seconds later, she opened it, her eyes curious, calm, and familiar. "Yes?" she asked politely. Hi," Ethan said, scratching his neck nervously. "Sorry to bother you. My ball, it rolled into your yard." Clara blinked, trying to remember him. He looked familiar. The kind boy from the grocery store, perhaps? But she wasn't sure. "Your ball," she repeated, glancing past him. "Yes, right there." He pointed to the garden. Sure enough, the football lay near her flower pots. She frowned slightly, wondering how it even got there. The street was empty. No other kids around. Still, she walked over, picked it up, and handed it to him. "Here you go," she said. "Thank you." Ethan replied, smiling softly. Their fingers brushed slightly as she gave him the ball. A small jolt of electricity passed through him. He couldn't explain it, but he felt it. Clara quickly pulled her hand back, pretending not to notice. Well, try not to throw too far next time, she said with a gentle smile. Ethan laughed nervously. Yeah, I'll work on my aim. She nodded once, turned, and closed the door. Ethan stood there on the porch for a few seconds. Smiling to himself, he glanced back at the door, then at the small white house. She still doesn't remember me, he murmured, but she will. And with that quiet promise, he walked away, the setting sun painting his shadow long behind him. Part 2. The unexpected walk 2 days had passed, but Ethan still couldn't get her out of his mind. Since the day he met Clara, the 41-year-old woman from the grocery store, her soft smile and the way she said thank you kept replaying in his head. He tried to focus on other things, reading, music, even football practice. But nothing worked. Her face lingered in his thoughts like a song that wouldn't stop playing. He sat by his window, watching kids play football outside. Their laughter filled the air, but all Ethan could think of was her. He wanted to see her again, to talk to her again, but how? He thought of several excuses, maybe ask for directions, deliver a lost package, or pretend to be a salesman, but none of it felt right. Then suddenly, it hit him, the football. Yeah, he whispered to himself. That worked last time. I'll do it again. So he picked up his football, his heart pounding a little faster this time. The evening sun painted the sky orange as he walked toward Clara's house. The white gate looked the same, the roses in her yard still blooming beautifully. He took a deep breath, turned the ball in his hands, and got ready to throw it, when suddenly a familiar voice called from behind. So that means, it was you who threw the football last time too? Ethan froze. It felt like the ground slipped from under his feet. He slowly turned around, and there she was, Clara, wearing a soft blue dress, holding a small shopping bag, her hair glowing under the sunset light, and a teasing smile on her lips. Ethan's face turned red as he tried to speak. Oh, I didn't, it was just... Clara raised her hand gently, laughing. Okay, relax. You don't have to explain that much. Then she tilted her head, smiling softly. Well, since you're already here, I'm going to the market for a short walk. Would you like to join me? Ethan blinked, not sure if he heard her right. Me? Yeah, sure. I'd love to. So they began walking side by side down the quiet street. The evening breeze brushed past them, carrying the faint scent of roses and rain. After a while, Clara said with a smile, You know, after you helped me with the groceries that day, I kept thinking about it, and later I remembered, it was you, wasn't it? The boy who helped me pick everything up. Ethan nodded shyly. Yeah, that was me. Clara looked ahead, her smile growing warmer. I really appreciated that. It's rare these days to meet someone so kind, but what I didn't realize, she turned her gaze toward him, eyes shining playfully, was that maybe it meant a little more to you than it did to me? Ethan blushed and looked down. Maybe, he admitted softly. Clara chuckled. Well, I'm Clara, he smiled back. Ethan. For a few moments they just walked in silence, but it wasn't an awkward silence. It was calm, almost peaceful. Finally, Ethan asked, Do you live alone in that house? Clara took a quiet breath. Yes, for quite some years now. I'm divorced. Her voice softened. I have a daughter. She's studying in New York. Ethan nodded gently. Oh, I see. She gave a small smile, hiding a trace of sadness in her eyes. They walked through the market, talking about little things, the weather, the town, their favorite foods, and yet every word felt strangely comforting. When they finally reached her home again, Clara turned to him at the gate. Ethan, if you're free tomorrow evening, you can stop by. We could have some tea. Talk a bit more. Ethan's heart almost skipped a beat. Really? Yeah, I'll be here. She smiled, nodding slightly. Good. Then it settled. She opened the door and stepped inside. Ethan stood there for a moment, staring at the closed gate, a quiet smile spreading across his face. For the first time in a long while, he felt something warm inside, something like happiness, because today, the woman who had unknowingly stolen his heart had invited him into her world. The next evening, the sky was glowing orange as the sun slowly slipped behind the hills. Ethan stood nervously in front of Clara's house, holding a small box of chocolates in his hand. His heart was racing. He took a deep breath. "Relax," he whispered to himself. "It's just dinner, not a date." But deep inside, he knew it felt like much more than that. He pressed the doorbell. Within seconds, the door opened, and there she was. Clara stood there wearing a soft beige dress, her hair tied loosely behind her neck. Her smile was gentle, yet her eyes sparkled when she saw him. "Oh, Ethan, you're right on time," she said warmly. Her voice had that same calm sweetness that always made his chest tighten. Ethan smiled awkwardly, holding out the chocolates. These are for you. I wasn't sure what to bring." Clara's eyes softened. "That's so sweet of you," she said, taking the box. "You didn't have to." She moved aside and gestured for him to come in. "Come on, make yourself comfortable." "Dinner's almost ready." The house smelled like roasted herbs and butter. Ethan looked around. Soft lights, framed photos, candles flickering gently on the table. It felt cozy. It felt like her. Clara glanced over her shoulder and smiled, noticing his nervousness. "You look like someone who's never been invited to dinner by a woman before," Ethan chuckled shyly. "Well, not by someone like you," she laughed softly. "Someone like me?" He hesitated, his cheeks turning pink. "I mean, beautiful, mature, kind of perfect." Clara's laugh faded slightly and her eyes softened. "Careful, Ethan. You say things that can make a woman blush." Ethan's heart skipped a beat. He couldn't tell if she was teasing, or if she actually meant it. They sat at the dining table. She served him pasta and a glass of juice, sitting across from him, chin resting lightly on her hand as she watched him take the first bite. "This is amazing," he said with genuine surprise. Clara smiled. "Years of cooking for someone who never appreciated it. My ex-husband. But at least now someone does." There was a quiet moment. Ethan wanted to ask about her past, but stopped himself. She looked so peaceful right now. He didn't want to bring pain into it. Instead, he said softly, "He must have been a fool to lose you." Clara looked up, eyes meeting his. For a moment, neither of them spoke. There was something new in her gaze, something she hadn't allowed herself to feel in years. She looked away, hiding a small, genuine smile. "Eat your dinner?" "Young man," she said softly, "before I start believing you." Later that night, Clara was in the kitchen. Putting dishes away, Ethan stood nearby, pretending to help, though his clumsy hands nearly dropped a plate twice. "Careful," she said, laughing. "You're worse than my daughter." Ethan smiled nervously. "Sorry, I'm not used to being around someone like you." Clara turned toward him, eyebrows raised. "Like me?" Ethan swallowed. "You make me nervous," he admitted quietly. Her lips curved in a soft smile. "That's a dangerous compliment." Silence fell, warm, slow, magnetic. She turned to place a dish on the counter, and as she turned back, Ethan moved forward at the same time. They collided, gently. Unexpectedly, the sound of glass clinking echoed, and suddenly, they were inches apart. Ethan froze, her perfume soft, floral, intoxicating, and surrounded him. Clara's breath brushed against his lips. Their eyes locked. The air between them thickened. Ethan's heartbeat thundered in his chest. Her face was so close, her lips barely an inch away. He couldn't move. He didn't want to. Clara's gaze lingered on his mouth. Her breathing slowed. She leaned closer. Closer, so close he could feel the warmth of her breath on his lips. Ethan closed his eyes. For a heartbeat, everything stopped. The world, the sound, time itself. Then suddenly, ring! Ring! The phone rang sharply, breaking the moment like shattered glass. Clara stepped back quickly, pressing a hand to her chest. "Oh my God," she whispered. She picked up the phone, still catching her breath. "Hello?" "Oh, hi, sweetheart." Her voice softened immediately. It was her daughter. Ethan stood frozen. Still trying to steady his heartbeat, Clara's voice from the phone drifted softly, filled with love and guilt. "Yes. Honey, I was just cleaning up after dinner." "Yes, I miss you too." Ethan quietly looked at her, at the woman who had just nearly kissed him. And at that moment, he realized how dangerously close his heart had wandered. Part 4. The night. After Ethan couldn't sleep, the image of Clara standing so close to him, her soft breath brushing his face, her lips just inches away, kept replaying in his mind like a movie on endless repeat. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw her again, her eyes trembling between hesitation and desire, her scent like wild jasmine wrapping around him, her lips that almost touched his. He turned in bed, trying to shake the feeling off, but it was useless. The world around him had gone silent, but inside his chest, his heart beat loud enough to drown out everything else. He whispered to himself, "What are you doing, Ethan?" "She's older. She's different. She's Clara." Yet the moment he said her name, a soft smile crossed his face. It wasn't just attraction anymore. It was something deeper, something that scared him, something that thrilled him, and then his phone rang. He jumped a little, his heart racing. The name on the screen made his hands freeze. Clara. For a few seconds, he just stared, not sure if he should answer. But curiosity, and something stronger, won. He took a deep breath and picked up. "Hello?" His voice was soft, nervous, unsure. There was silence on the other end, a quiet that felt like it carried 100 unspoken words. Then came her voice, low, gentle, trembling just a little. "Ethan." "Are you awake?" Her tone alone sent a shiver down his spine. "Yeah, I couldn't sleep." She gave a quiet laugh, the kind that was more breath than sound. "Me neither." For a moment, neither of them spoke. The quiet between them wasn't awkward. It was electric, alive, as if both were listening to the same heartbeat echoing through the phone. Finally, Clara said, "You left so suddenly." Ethan sat up in bed. "I thought I should. I didn't want to make things harder for you." "Harder?" she whispered. "You have no idea how hard it already is." Her voice cracked slightly, and Ethan could feel the weight of her words. He closed his eyes. "Clara," she cut him off softly. "You know, when you looked at me tonight, for a second I forgot how old I was. I forgot everything. It felt like time stopped." Ethan's throat tightened. "It stopped for me too." Clara inhaled sharply, her breath audible through the phone. "Don't say that." "Why not?" he whispered. "It's true. I've never felt anything like this." She was quiet for a long moment. Then, in a voice that trembled with honesty, she said, "You're too young to feel this kind of madness, Ethan, and I'm too old to believe it's real." Ethan smiled sadly. "Age doesn't stop your heart, Clara. If it did, we wouldn't be talking right now." That made her laugh, a soft, emotional laugh. "God, you always know what to say," he replied quietly. "Because I mean it." There was another pause, but this one felt warm, like the quiet after a confession. Clara's tone softened, turning tender. "You make me feel alive again. I haven't felt that in a long time." Ethan leaned back against his pillow, closing his eyes, imagining her voice as a touch. "Then don't stop feeling it," Clara whispered. "You don't understand." "I shouldn't be feeling this at all, but you are," he said, his tone deep, calm. "And so am I." The silence that followed was filled with emotion. Two souls caught between what they wanted and what they feared. Finally, she exhaled. "Ethan, why did you walk away tonight?" He smiled faintly. "Because if I hadn't, I might have kissed you." There was a soft gasp on the other end. Then silence. Clara didn't speak for several seconds. When she finally did, her voice was shaking. "And if you had? I don't think I would have stopped you." Those words hit Ethan like lightning. His breath caught. Neither of them spoke after that for a while. The world outside was still. The night thick with emotions that couldn't be named. After a long pause, Clara said gently, "You should sleep, Ethan." "I can't," he said honestly. "Not when your voice keeps me awake." She smiled quietly to herself, though he couldn't see it. "You'll drive me crazy, you know that?" "Maybe that's already happening," he teased softly. She laughed again, a warm, nervous laugh. "Ethan, listen, my daughter's coming tomorrow. She's staying for a few days, so I can't see you until she leaves." Ethan sighed. "I understand. But when she goes," Clara continued, her voice lowering, "come over. I'll cook dinner. Just you and me." Her tone was so gentle, so full of hidden longing that Ethan's heart skipped a beat. "I'll wait," he said quietly. "I know you will," she whispered. "Good night, Ethan." "Good night, Clara." The call ended, but the silence that followed was filled with her presence. Ethan stared at his ceiling, smiling faintly, feeling the warmth of her voice still lingering in the air. He turned on his side, whispering to himself, "She feels the same. She really does." The next morning, Clara barely slept. Her mind kept drifting back to Ethan's words, his honesty, his warmth, his youth. She hadn't felt this way in years, not since before her husband left, not since before life had hardened her heart. She walked to the mirror and stared at her reflection. She saw a woman who was older, yes, but also alive again. Her skin glowed faintly. Her eyes sparkled like they hadn't in years. For the first time in a long time, she smiled without forcing it. That was how her daughter found her the next morning, smiling, humming while making coffee. "Wow, Mom," her daughter laughed. "What's going on with you? You look happy." Clara turned, a soft blush touching her cheeks. "Just slept well, I guess." Her daughter grinned. "You haven't looked this good in years. Someone special?" Clara's heart skipped. "Don't be silly," she said quickly, hiding her smile. But her daughter noticed. There was something new in her mother's eyes, something glowing, something beautiful. Later, as they sat at the breakfast table, Clara's mind drifted away again, to Ethan, to his voice, his eyes, the way he had looked at her like she was the only woman in the world. Her daughter kept talking, but Clara barely heard her. She was lost in thought, lost in that moment that never truly ended. Across town, Ethan sat by his window, watching the morning sun rise. He hadn't slept either. Every ray of light reminded him of her, the warmth in her voice, the softness of her smile. He kept replaying their call, memorizing every word, every pause. He didn't know where this connection would lead, or if it even should. All he knew was that when he thought of Clara, the world felt right, and somewhere, deep down, he knew she felt the same. For the next few days, the house felt different. Clara was smiling more. She hummed while cooking, took longer to pick her dresses, and even added lipstick before stepping out for groceries, something she hadn't done in years. Her daughter, Lily, noticed. One afternoon, while Clara was making tea, Lily leaned on the kitchen counter, crossing her arms with a teasing grin. "Mom," she said playfully, "who's got you glowing like this?" Clara turned quickly, pretending not to understand. "What do you mean?" "Oh, come on," Lily smirked. "You're happier. And I've seen that look before. It's called someone special. So tell me, who is he?" Clara laughed awkwardly, stirring her tea faster than necessary. "You're imagining things, sweetheart?" Lily raised a brow. "Am I?" For the next few days, Lily kept asking. Every time she caught her mother lost in thought or smiling at her phone, she teased her again. Finally, one evening, Clara sighed deeply and put down her cup. "All right," she said. "You win!" Lily's eyes widened in excitement. "I knew it. So, who is he?" "Tell me everything!" Clara smiled softly, hesitating for a moment. "There's someone I've been seeing. He's kind, thoughtful, and he makes me feel alive again." Lily giggled like a teenager. That's so sweet. Do I know him? Clara hesitated. No? I don't think so. Lily's excitement grew. Show me his picture, please. Clara chuckled nervously. You and your curiosity? Come on, Mom, Lily begged. You can't hide forever. Show me what he looks like. Clara finally gave in, picking up her phone. All right, fine. But you'll meet him soon anyway. I'm planning to invite him for dinner tomorrow night, Lily squealed. Oh my God, Mom! That's amazing. You're serious about him? Clara looked at her daughter and smiled faintly. I don't know what this is yet, but it feels right. You'll see. He's different. That night, Clara sat on her bed, phone in hand, heart racing. She dialed Ethan's number. He answered on the second ring. Clara? His voice was calm but eager. Hi, she said softly. I was wondering if you'd like to come over for dinner tomorrow. Ethan paused. Dinner? Yes, she said gently. There's someone I'd like you to meet. Who? My daughter. Ethan froze for a second, the words echoing in his head. Her daughter. He had heard Clara talk about her, studying in New York, strong, independent. He'd never imagined meeting her. Are you sure? He asked carefully. I don't want to make things awkward, Clara smiled faintly, though he couldn't see it. No, Ethan, I want her to meet you. She means everything to me. I think it's time she knows the person who's made me smile again. Ethan hesitated, nervous but touched. All right, if that's what you want, I'll be there. Good, Clara said softly. Tomorrow at 7. And Ethan? Yes? Wear something nice. Ethan laughed nervously. For you? Always. The next day felt unusually warm. Sunlight streamed through the windows of Clara's cozy suburban home as she and Lily cleaned together, dusting shelves, arranging flowers, and polishing the silverware. Lily had a playlist playing in the background, upbeat songs that filled the house with laughter and energy. Every now and then, she'd glance at her mother and tease. You seem nervous? Mom, is your mystery man that special? Clara smiled shyly. Maybe he is. They set the dining table with Clara's favorite china, the one she hadn't used in years. Candles, soft linen napkins, a vase of white lilies. By evening, everything was ready. Lily looked stunning in a blue dress, her hair loose around her shoulders. Clara wore a light peach blouse with a subtle necklace, simple, elegant, timeless. At exactly 7:05 p.m., the doorbell rang. Clara froze for a second, her heart pounding. Lily grinned mischievously. I'll get it, she said, rushing toward the door. Wait! Lily! Clara called out, but it was too late. Lily pulled open the door with a wide smile, but as soon as she saw who was standing there, the smile vanished. Ethan stood on the porch, holding a small bouquet of roses. His expression shifted instantly, from excitement to shock. Lily? He whispered. Lily's eyes widened in disbelief. Ethan? What the hell are you doing here? Behind her, Clara appeared, still smiling warmly. Lily, this is Ethan, But before she could finish, Lily turned toward her, voice trembling with anger and confusion. Mom, do you know who this is? Clara blinked, taken aback. Of course. This is Ethan, the man I told you about. Lily's face turned pale. Mom, he's my ex-boyfriend. The words hit the room like thunder. Clara froze. Her breath caught in her throat. What? Clara slowly sat down on the nearby chair, covering her face with both hands. Her heart was pounding and her eyes filled with tears. Ethan stood there for a few seconds, frozen, realizing the gravity of the moment. Without saying another word, he turned and quietly walked away from Clara's house. As he walked down the empty street, Ethan's mind was spinning. How did everything go so wrong? He thought. This was supposed to be the happiest time of my life. And now, it's the most painful. For the first time in his life, Ethan felt truly ashamed, not for what he did intentionally, but for the pain he had caused without even knowing. Back inside the house, Clara sat still for a long time, unable to move. Lily came to her and, with tears in her eyes, explained everything. How Ethan and she had dated, how things ended badly, and how she had moved on, never expecting him to reappear in their lives this way. Clara listened in silence. She didn't blame Lily. She didn't even blame Ethan. but the weight in her chest grew heavier with every passing minute. The next day, Lily left for New York to continue her studies. She hugged her mother tightly before leaving, sensing her sadness. After Lily's departure, Clara's home felt painfully quiet, every room echoing with memories she was trying to forget. Days turned into weeks. Neither Clara called Ethan, nor did Ethan reach out to her. They both drowned in silence, lost between regret and longing. Then one evening, Clara's phone buzzed. It was a message from Ethan. Can we talk? Clara stared at the message for a long time. Her fingers trembled, her heart confused. At first, she ignored it. But after a few minutes, she typed back, "Meet me in the park near my house." That evening, as the sun began to set, Ethan arrived at the park. Clara was already there, sitting on a bench under the same tree where autumn leaves were slowly falling. Ethan walked toward her, hesitant and nervous. Clara looked up at him, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. "Ethan," she whispered, her voice trembling, "sometimes life puts us in situations we never meant to be in. You didn't mean to hurt me, I know that. But some things, once broken, can't be fixed." Ethan's eyes filled with regret. "Clara, please." "Just one chance to explain." She gently shook her head, tears slipping down her cheeks. "No, Ethan, there's nothing left to explain. Maybe in another life things could have been different, but not now." Ethan lowered his gaze, feeling the finality of her words. Clara stood up, took a deep breath, and looked into his eyes one last time. Her voice cracked as she said softly, "Goodbye, Ethan. Forever." Her eyes shimmered with tears as she turned away. Ethan watched her walk off slowly, each step echoing like a quiet goodbye in his heart. And as Clara disappeared into the distance, Ethan finally understood some connections, no matter how deep, are not meant to last forever.